Good morning, my name is Aarathi Krishnan. Global efforts for social good have traditionally pushed a very rigid view of what progress looks like, steeped in pillars of a northern-dominated world order. We can argue that the systems and frameworks that have served us to date may have improved development outcomes for many, but it hasn't done so equally, and it has been at significant cost. The world we inhabit today is increasingly sleepwalking into climate catastrophe. It is more unequal, more disconnected, and more divided than ever before. The future, as we know now, is complex and uncertain. It's no longer siloed issues of great drivers of change and transformation that we're talking about, but rather compounding intersecting risks and issues. The challenge then that we face as humanity is how will we steward our planet well, not just for ourselves today, but for current, next, and future generations. We must, all of us, ask of ourselves one fundamental question. What kind of ancestors do we want to be? Because it is the answer to that question that will determine the actions we choose to take today. The practice of strategic foresight challenges us to see that past hegemonies don't necessitate a similar future state, and it seeks to ensure that in our journey to jointly flourish, we don't leave anybody behind. Ultimately, it pushes us to interrogate the changes in practices, culture, and investments that ourselves and institutions need to adapt in order to be fit for whatever futures might emerge. However, this very practice can be steeped in bias and surface-level rhetoric, not deeply interrogating what is needed for us all to change and adapt in complexity. Any kind of transformation for social change, for social good in the 21st century today will only be truly effective if it is a systemic interrogation of all drivers of change, not just the big loud ones. If it tackles and pulls out bias, it is representative of all peoples and all futures and clearly linked to strategic reform. When futures frameworks, ideas of the future, only put forward visions or markers that just push one dominant and singular narrative, it limits our questioning whether measures of global poverty to date have considered colonial history, the implications of inequality from brutal economic policies, or planetary implications from industrialization. It reinforces future progress as singular, linear spectrums that build on the trajectories of our history, and it assumes that those ideas of progress are the only ones everyone wants to aspire to in the future. It reinforces power imbalances and excludes those that don't have the same kind of access to participate. It can result in crippling inaction if reimagination is not systematically linked to levers for societal, political, and institutional transformations. So how do we push for a complete reimagining of our collective futures so it doesn't merely replicate the inequalities of the past? We design through our own eyes, and so whose futures are we building, and what kind of systems can we design that can help ensure just, equitable, and safe futures for all? As Arundhati Roy said last year, we can choose to walk through this portal that we're facing right now, dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our avarice, our data banks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoke skies behind us. Or we can walk through lightly with little luggage, ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it. Thank you for having me. Best of luck with everything that you do. Now more than ever, we need to ensure that we are designing the types of futures that future generations will be safe and have the ability to flourish in. And I so look forward to see the efforts that you will partake in now and into your lifetime.